Hi, and welcome to the Computer Chronicles. I'm Stuart Chaffee. Well, Microsoft is at it again with yet another new release of its Windows operating system in two versions, Windows XP Home and Windows XP Professional. And the question most Windows users are asking is it worth the money to upgrade? And that's the question we hope to answer for you this week. Here to start us out with a look at Windows XP Home Edition is Denny Arar, Senior Editor with PC World Magazine, and this is the magazine right here. In fact, this was your cover story on Windows XP. Should you upgrade? That's the question we're trying to get at. Let's start with some of the basics in home. First of all, slightly different graphics look in XP, right?
Right. If you hit the Start panel, you'll notice right away, look, it has my name on it.
Okay.
And it's a square thing. It has a bunch of applications. These ones down here, they come in automatically. They reflect my usage. As I use an application frequently, it automatically
You might want to point
here.
with the cursor if you can so the audience can keep track of what you're doing. Yeah.
And then the ones on top here are ones that are fixed. They're always here. And then you've got these other things. It's just more things to get to.
Right. Now, I see you have Windows Messenger down there in your taskbar. That's included now in the operating system, right?
This is an instant messaging client a la AOL Instant Messaging or ICQ. And it allows you, as you can with these other ones, to talk. It also has the ability, if you have webcams, to look at somebody else online over webcam.
Okay, so instant messaging with video, etc.
Right, and to chat, even you can do a voice call too as well.
Yeah.
So, and another thing it lets you do, which is really neat for somebody who maybe works with, if your mother or somebody like that is far away and needs help on the computer, it has the ability through this to initiate a request for help.
Okay.
Ask for remote assistance. Yeah, and what that does is, if you follow through with it, it does take a little while to set up.
So if your mom was having trouble with some problem on her computer, she had XP, you had XP, you both have Messenger, you could take control of her computer from the other side of the country.
Once this is all set up, you can actually see the computer being manipulated by the person at the other end. And, it can be really helpful.
Once again, this is a feature you could have gotten before from a third party, but now a lot of this is bundled inside the operating system.
That's correct. That's correct.
All right, now you showed before that when you opened the Start panel, it said Denny.
Right.
Well, let's talk about that. The fact is you can have separate user profiles running at the same time
This is very new for Windows. What this is for is a home or a business where you've got several people using the same computer. And what this allows you to do is create profiles for each one to customize the computer to what they like. I have another person set up on here, switch user. And this is what you get when you boot up. And Christian, that's my husband, I would type his password in. And there are his settings, his wallpaper,
Now, does it keep both applications running? Do you have to kill everything?
Right. Now, I remember I had a Windows Messenger running there. If I go back to me, switch user again. Now I want it back.
Okay.
See, it said I had one program running.
Okay.
So this is really useful.
Yeah, so we're going to have multiple accounts also to go on at the same time.
Right, and also you can limit, if you're, say I use this for my business, I don't want my kids messing around with it. I can give them limited access to various parts
and again, another user can pop in,
computer.
do something, get out, and you can go back to where your work was before.
That's right. Very nice feature.
All right, what other things can we talk about? I guess one of the best features of XP is something you can't really show, and that is that it sort of works, right? Right.
It's a much more stable operating system. If you've been using Windows 95 or 98 or Millennium, it really does. It crashes less. That's a very good reason to get an operating system, especially, I think it bears mentioning that even though this is called Home Edition, this does not mean that it's not appropriate for a lot of small and medium businesses because the features that it lacks that are in professional are really IT, staff oriented, and many small businesses do their own IT work.
Sure. So bottom line, worth upgrading if you're a 98 user or an ME user?
I would definitely take a look at this. There are very few people. The only stumbling block would be lack of support for your devices. You will want to check with your vendors of your scanners, of your printers, to make sure that there's an XP driver, and they don't all offer them, so that can be an issue.
We're going to talk about that in a minute. Thanks so much, Denny. All right, well, for a little bit more money, you can upgrade to Windows XP Professional Edition, a little bit more geared to the network or office environment. And here to help us evaluate XP Pro is Rob Enderle, who is Research Fellow and Vice President of the Gig Information Group. Well, you saw a little bit about what we did there with Denny on Home. The fact is Home and Professional are very much alike, aren't they?
Well, pretty much identical under the covers. They use the same kernel. In fact, it was Microsoft driving to this single kernel, the single architecture to reduce costs, reduce support, not only for them, but for third-party software developers and device manufacturers who were having problems trying to integrate with Windows NT, 2000, 98, ME. Became a nightmare. So it makes it easier for them.
So XP Home and Pro are really Windows 2000.1 or something?
Yeah, Windows 2000.1 is a good way to look at it. It allows somebody to go from work, go to home, and kind of have the same kind of experience.
Okay. So just briefly describe, what is the difference in professional? What do you get? How is it better if you're in a more heavy-duty network environment where you care about that issue or security?
Well, if you're in a large corporation, typically you plug into a domain. You might have Microsoft's Active Directory in the background, so a person can log in and they can kind of get access to all the printers, all the storage facilities, and everything else located across a very robust and geographically dispersed enterprise. It's got that capability. Where somebody at home, you got a printer here, you got a couple machines maybe in the house. You don't need all that stuff, and you really don't want to have to administer thousands of machines anyway.
All right, let's talk about some of the features which might be more of interest to the professional user, even though a lot of these are also in-home. One is the transfer wizard, which makes it easier to migrate from one machine to another, which again was an old third-party idea, but now is in the operating system.
Yeah, folks like Altiris and Miramar did products in this space, but we looked at customers last year, and for instance, the #1 reason that most of them were not buying new machines was because it was costing them to move to them, and users were saying, wait a minute, it's working, leave me alone.
Right.
So what this does is it provides an easy way for you to pull all the stuff from a user from their old machine and then go ahead and put it onto a new machine. For instance, on this menu, you just identify whether this is the new or old machine, the machine that's getting the stuff or giving the stuff. It creates a big file. You transfer it to the new machine. In a matter of an hour or so, you can go grab a cup of coffee. You can come back and you can have
new machine looks like the old machine.
New machine looks identical to the old machine.
Okay. Another nice feature, a lot of people are into the Wi-Fi 802.11b world right now, and this has a nice feature there in terms of wireless networks. Go through that, Rob.
Well, it's where they really did an awful lot of the improvement in terms of the networking. It allows you to go through and discover wireless networks. Up to now, you had to kind of figure out what the system ID was for these access points, and they might be written on the bottom, which is a real problem if they're up in the ceiling. Or they might be someplace else. This actually discovers them, so you get the system IDs on here, you double-click on it. If it's not encrypted, you're on almost immediately.
So you just wander around, it'll tell you what wireless networks are around there.
Absolutely.
Okay. We talked a little bit about this with Denny, but system restore, things like driver issues, show how XP works better there.
Well, this actually takes its core from Windows ME, which was an incredibly unreliable product and kind of lived on system restore. It was down so much that you used that to restore yourself back to a point when it was actually working. This has that, and from the standpoint of an administrator that is administering thousands of machines, having a user be able to go back and fix problems they created, realize that about 80% of the problems that helped us deal with, the user created them themselves. It brings up an easy screen to say, okay, to restore it to an earlier point.
Does it automatically find earlier points, or do you have to set those?
Absolutely. It goes back to whatever. Anytime you install a major piece of hardware, it actually sets a point, and you can go back to that particular point, and when it was working, and you're back in, and you're up and restored.
Okay. Another version of that, or a piece of that, I guess, is driver restore. Another problem, you install a new driver and you've screwed things up and you want to go back to where you were just with regard to a device driver.
Yeah, I've had this experience myself. I put in a new video card and somehow I've lost a set of features. For instance, I like to use twin monitors. Almost every time I put in a new card, only one monitor comes up when I'm done. So I just take it back to the earlier driver. Suddenly I've got both monitors up. I'm not spending the time online or with the help desk. I fixed it myself.
Useful. Dynamic updating, that's a nice feature too, right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
What does it do?
What it does is allows it to go back to the Windows Update site and pull down driver updates, patches to the operating system, and it loads them behind the scenes. And so instead of having to go up and download from the Windows Update site, which is what you've had to do before and do it live, kind of wait for it to download and then do stuff, it's all waiting for you on your machine. You click go, it installs it, you're off and running.
All right. Summarize now pros and cons of XP Professional.
Well, the big pros are it's much better on a network. It's a 0.1 product. Corporations like 0.1 products instead of a 0.0 product. And it's a huge jump in terms of security and reliability from the 9X base. Disadvantages are they could still have gone farther with regard to network discovery. A lot of folks, I mean, we talked about the wireless stuff, but realize a lot of folks are going from the corporation, they're going home. They've got to change network settings and the rest of it. It is not seamless at all. Some might be dynamic, some might be fixed IP addresses. Still a very big mess. So it's one of the improvements they clearly could make.
All right, bottom line question again, is it worth the upgrade?
For most folks, it probably is, because most folks are on a 9X product. If they've already done a migration to Windows 2000 and they're stable, they might want to wait for the next version, Longhorn, which is going to be out a little bit over a year.
Using 95, 98?
95, 98, it's an easy decision.
Do it.
Yeah.
All right, thanks very much.